To call the February meeting of the Fargo Public Library Board of Directors to order. And the first item is approving the order of the agenda. Well, actually, excuse me, I'm sorry, we need to take roll call. So let's see, is Rachel here? Rachel Steenhold?
I am.
Okay, Scott Bollier?
I'm here, thank you.
Carrie Peterson?
Yes, I'm here.
Kristen Schipper?
Yes, I am.
Carlos Holly Jr.? Carlos is not here. How about Whitney Oxendahl? Whitney's not here either, okay. And I'm Mary Batchelor and I am here. So we have a quorum. So first item on the agenda is approving the order of the agenda.
Chris Schiffer, I'll make a motion to approve the order of the agenda. And I'll second. This is Rachel Steenholt.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the order of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the order of the agenda is approved. Next is the minutes of the January 19th meeting. And those are in your packet for review. I will entertain a motion.
Rachel Steenholt, move to approve.
This is Scott,
Chris Schiffer, second.
2 seconds. Any discussion on the minutes of the January 19th meeting? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The minutes of the January 19th meeting are approved. Next up, staff report by Sunny Brannick.
Hello. So, as you can tell, you guys got a big packet this month, so we'll just cover some of the highlights. LA1 and LA2 positions are being currently reviewed to be hired for at Maine and at Carlson. Programming, and I do apologize, I feel like I just sound like a broken record when I tell you, go online or give us a call. So I'm going to say it once right now. Go online or give us a call for basically anything. Children's. We have a Disney trivia event coming up on the 21st at 2 p.m. So that should be pretty fun. The annual Battle of the Books is still going on right now. And we have brought back Crafts to Go for Kids and Storytime to Go. So give us a call about that. Can't stop it, apparently. We're bringing back the Pause to Reading, so it's going to be virtual. That is going to start on March 13th. Coming up in teen, we have another virtual escape room that's going to be on the 15th. That is for teens grade 6 through 12. And as always, we still have the Crafts to Go going on for them. Adult and multi-generational events. We're still accepting submissions for Northern Narratives going through March 29th, so be sure to get those in. Be sure to also turn in your reading logs for the Adult Winter Reading Program that's going on right now. We have a virtual movie discussion group coming up. The first one is actually going to be tonight, and the subject is going to be life-changing movies. So if you like watching movies and you want to talk about them, please attend. We also have a trivia event for adults coming up on February 22nd at 6:30 p.m. And this one's going to be on Schitt's Creek. So you have just enough time to binge watch it all before the event. We also have an online book discussion on February 25th. It is A Fireproof Home for the Bride by author Amy Scheib. I always pronounce her name wrong. Scheib. Gonna go with that.
Sounds great. visit us online or give us a call.
Got it.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Sunny? All right. Well, thank you, Sunny. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tim, please give us the director's report.
Yes, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Yes, per your packet, you can see my report there. A lot of discussions with my admin team in terms of quarterly project follow-up. Other meetings with some of our partner agencies that I'm working with. So if any folks have any questions in that regard.
Doesn't sound like it. Okay, well, thank you, Tim. Let's move on to unfinished business. Looks like we don't have any. So let's move on to new business. There is an action item on the agenda, which is the face covering policy draft.
Yes, as we're going forward, and it's really been important, obviously working with the city and city admin and part of the city mandate in regard to face coverings. Going forward between now and when the community reaches the desired vaccination level, given that we have been able to keep our facilities safe, our patrons safe, and most really importantly, our employees safe, face covering being an important aspect of that as we are, and given all the recommendations that in terms of CDC and public health, I wanted to bring this to the board as a library policy. And obviously, like all library policy, this is basically designed for our situation right now as we go forward, which, you know, when the community reaches that level of desired level of vaccination, that we would look to revisit this policy. But I think it's important now, like I said, that we have something in place in terms of library policy to ensure the safety of patrons and staff as we go through the rest of this pandemic. So I bring this to you, obviously discussions with my admin team and staff in regards to the development of this. A lot of the language is taken from the city mandate and had discussions in regards with the city attorney's office and city admin in this regard. So I bring this to the board for your approval.
Thanks, Tim. So the draft policy is provided in the packet, and it basically says that patrons visiting any public library, Fargo Public Library location will be required to wear a face covering over their nose and mouth and maintain social distancing from staff and non-household members of the public while inside the library or any outdoor library events and programs. And people who do not follow this policy may be refused service or asked to leave the library. It also defines face covering, social distancing, and household, and provides exemptions for children under the age of four and younger, persons with a medical condition that prevents wearing a face covering, and people who are actively consuming food and drink. So does anyone have any questions or comments about this policy?
Chris Shipper here, and I actually just wanted to add some verbiage, probably to the exemptions of persons actively consuming food and drink. I could see where that may be taken advantage of, and that somebody would be carrying a water bottle around and say they're actively drinking and not need a face covering. So I think if we could get some verbiage that, and I don't know what it would be, but I think it would be helpful.
We can see what we can do. That particular language was from the attorney's office, city attorney's office.
Okay, well, if nothing can be done, that's fine. But I just can see somebody possibly taking advantage of that just by carrying around a water bottle.
I think that's a good point, Chris. Because I've seen stuff like that. I wonder if the actively adding that word in there makes it a little clearer that, you can't just be walking around with a water bottle, but you only can take your mask off when you are literally drinking.
That's how I would
Okay.
interpret it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then I'm good. I'm good.
Mary, this is Whitney. I do have a question as well, if I can.
Absolutely.
So the city is going to, even after the mandate isn't in place, they're going to continue requiring masks in city facilities. Is this to cover any outdoor library events, or I am supportive of this policy. I just wanted to know the reasoning behind bringing this forward. Is it just so outdoor events could be covered as well?
That, and I think this is an important aspect of our, it's going to be an important aspect of our service model. And I think anytime that's part of library service model, I think the board should be involved and have an opportunity as the board to have input in that regard. I know, like you said, Whitney, the city is looking at language to continue masking within city facilities. I think this really it will be within that, obviously, but I think it puts it's more library directed in that way. And I think it's important to have the library board involved in this discussion. So that's why I'm bringing it forward.
Does that answer your question, Whitney?
Yes, that did answer my question. So you were prepared for the board to give input into this policy. Was there an area you thought that we would have input, or just generally wanted to see the policy before you put it in place?
Well, like all policy for the library, obviously you look to us and myself and the staff to recommend policies for the board. Certainly, I think this is an important one that the board should have an opportunity and make board policy given the current situation.
Does anyone else have?
That sounds good. Were there any policies that you looked at from other libraries, or was this solely made from admin and the city attorney?
Well, admin, city attorney, and primarily staff admin team putting this together.
Okay. I thought it looked like good, because other libraries will have different things they need, and I felt like it would cover the needs of the local libraries well. So I'm definitely in support of the policy that you guys came up with.
Thanks, Whitney. And let the record reflect that Whitney is in attendance. Anyone else? Personally, the only thing I think that may be missing is, and you addressed it, Tim, in your opening remarks, maybe just some reference to the fact that this policy will be revisited, at various times according to community levels of infection or immunization or something along those lines, just to make it clear that this is maybe not a policy that's going to last forever. I'm not sure if that's necessary or not, but maybe something to add.
If it's desired, I could add said line at the end of the first paragraph.
What do other folks think of that? Does anybody have any opinion on that, or support, or not support?
This is Chris
sorry,
Schiffer,
yeah.
and I actually support that too, to put in that we revisited regularly, or, depending on state of infections, et cetera. I think that was a good point.
I think in my mind, the key benchmark in terms of revisiting is community vaccination level. the desired. I think that's the bottom line for me. So if folks are comfortable, the infection level is one thing. I think the vaccination level is really the benchmark, I think, in terms of this policy, if folks are comfortable with that verbiage.
I think that makes sense.
And this is Whitney, and I'm also in support of that. I think that would give people clarity if they're looking at our policy, so they know that, that it will be revisited regularly. So I think that's great.
Thank you, Whitney. Anyone else care to weigh in on that or anything else about the policy?
This is Betsy. I was wondering if you could state the verbiage that you would like, just so I could get it in the minutes.
I would say the policy will be revisited pending the desired level of vaccination within the community. Don't want to get too verbose, just pretty straightforward.
Do we want to put a timeline for revisiting?
No, because vaccination levels are not there. We don't have a timeline in that regard.
I think that makes sense to not include a timeline, just because I think this does need to be a pretty vague,
Open-ended.
Open-ended, yeah, yes, open-ended and pretty general, not specific clause added to it for obvious reasons.
Do you have the verbiage, Betsy?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this policy, or should we go ahead and vote or entertain a motion?
Well, this is
All
Chris
right.
Schiffer, and I'll make a motion to accept the draft, including some verbiage that would address the regular review of this policy. Can I put them together like that?
Or you can say you accept the draft as amended.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the draft as amended.
I'll second that, Scott.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on that issue? All in favor of approving the draft COVID-19 face covering policy as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries and the COVID-19 face covering policy is approved. Thank you. Next up is the statistical reports. Back to you, Tim.
Sure. January usage. You can see some reflection of us opening up back on the 25th. Still a partial month in that regard. You can see that impact across the statistics. In terms of circulation, the impacts remain. Again, e-content remains strong through all of January. So hopefully, with a full February, hopefully we'll get closer to the good old days in terms of circulation. So yeah, it reflects kind of where we've been this past January.
Anybody have questions on the usage report? Or comments? Okay, let's move on to the January financials.
Yes, the first one is the end of year 2020 donation summary, and you can see on the 13th period there, we received $85, $25 from Kyle Bartram, $50 from MBN Engineering, and the $10 from the monthly donation of Eric Oberio. On the expense side, thank you, friends, $699 for the One Book One community website and in the billboard for the One Book, One Community final payout there. And also thank you to the Friends for the money, $293 for staff development, end of year gift cards, and each staff member also got a little Zen garden after 2020. I think a little bit of Zen garden would be nice, and thank you, the Friends, for making that possible. In terms of through January, on the donation side, we received $1,000 from Kendra O'Brien. On the expense side, you can see, thank you, Friends, again, for $1,530 for a one-year subscription for the Book Page monthly magazine for all locations. You can see we spent out $350 to the Dakota Medical Foundation for the Giving Foundation reimbursing for Giving Hearts Day craft story time packets, and also to the Valley Reading Council. And also thank you again to the Friends for the pizza party for staff for New Year's Eve. So folks, staff, appreciate that very much. And again, those kind of things that we do for staff, we couldn't do operating up through the operating budget, so it's really nice that the Friends provide that. In terms of budget, you can see through January, we're just getting started, obviously, pretty standard there in terms of operating. And revenue, rather limited based on, certainly we don't collect fines anymore, and we were closed most of January, so it's right around $558, $559 on that end.
Okay, sounds good. Any questions about financials? Or comments? All right.
Hey, Mary, this is Whitney.
Yes.
I have two random questions. I don't know where my random questions fit. So would you mind if I ask two questions that are not exactly budget related?
I think that would be fine.
Okay. My first question is, I was just wanting to circle back with Tim on, did you hear when staff would be offered vaccinations?
No, there's no specific timeline. I mean, obviously, there's the lists and the way
Okay.
the state is defining that, so we're not at the point where we have been given a specific date in that regard.
Okay, thank you. And then, Mary, this is kind of for you. I know there's a committee to do a director's annual review for the library. Has that been scheduled yet, or is that still being worked out?
Great question. We are having our first meeting on Thursday at 4 o'clock.
Will that be shown on the local access TV or through the City of Fargo's website?
I believe it's just call-in. The only room we could get was the Sky Commons room over at the old, what is it? The old former commission chambers. So that's a call-in or on-site.
Will there be minutes coming out of there, or how can people access information about that?
Well, it's on the website. It's on our website. The agenda is. So it's on there, and folks could attend the meeting, certainly.
Is there information on how to call in to be an observer to the meeting?
I can certainly follow up.
Okay, great. Okay, that was my main question. And Mary, in the future, where should I ask my random question? Which point is the best time?
You know, that's a great question. I would say if it requires any amount of, preparation, I would appreciate if you would send it in advance so that it could maybe be added to the agenda. Otherwise, I think, maybe under unfinished business. I don't know what you think about that, Tim, but I always feel, you know, if it's going to require input from the board or the board to think about it or act on it, I would really like to know in advance so that we can be prepared to discuss. But if it is just a question directed at Tim, or me or anyone, but just more of a random question, do you think that unfinished business would be appropriate, Tim, or?
The more accurate we can be with the agenda, I think that's important. I think, though, if it's just specific to an item that's already there, that's fine. Or more general, that's fine. But like, I agree with you, Mary, if it becomes more of a conversation, I think it's important that it's noted as such for the agenda, if that makes sense. Any more clarification?
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Do you think that at this point, and I'm just speaking off the cuff, but that it would make sense to maybe have a standing agenda item that focuses on COVID update or something like that, just so that you can give us an update on anything that has changed or issues or concerns that you're seeing or anything like that on a monthly basis, since that does seem to be a topic that comes up quite frequently?
I can certainly carve out a spot in my monthly report if that would be helpful.
Sure. I think that maybe would be a good place to do it. And then we can also ask any COVID related questions at that time, because that does seem to be, you know, an area that's changing and fluid and does come up a lot for good reason. And I would like to have that noted, I guess, just so that people can ask their questions at that time. Sounds great. And actually, and also, Whitney, you know, I would be happy to include, you know, any information that the board feels is relevant in an update from the executive director review committee. I mean, we will prepare something to bring to the board at the end, but, you know, certainly encourage people to call in or attend the meeting and ask any questions that they might have.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Those should cover my usual questions. They're usually about COVID or what's happening with this committee, just to stay informed. So thank you very much. I think that'd be really helpful.
My
Sounds
thought
good.
was in terms of putting the committee on the agenda, I was headed but I wanted us to have a meeting first.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Makes sense. Sounds good. Friends of the Library report is the next item on the agenda. I do not know, is there anyone from the Friends either on the phone or in the chambers?
No friends here?
Okay. Then public comment.
No public present.
All right. Well, then our next regular meeting is March 16th. And this meeting is adjourned.